to the DolphinsTalk.com podcast, the most listened to daily Miami Dolphins podcast on the internet.
Miami's got the Dolphins, the greatest of all.
Come on, Dolphins fans. Time to fins up.
We're in the air, we're on the ground, we're always in control. And when you say Miami, you're talking Super Bowl. Cause we're the Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one. Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins, Miami Dolphins number one.
Good evening, Miami Dolphins fans. How are you today? And thank you for listening to the Dolphins Talk matchup show here at DolphinsTalk.com. I'm your host, Michael Leva, joined as I am each and every week by Robert Burns. Robert, how was your Thanksgiving?
I was good. I'm over turkey at this point.
Me
and
too.
Mashed potatoes and
By
mashed
Saturday, I
and
was
cheese.
done with leftovers. With
Yeah.
leftovers by Saturday.
Yeah, we threw some out, and it always feels like you're committing a sin when you're throwing out Thanksgiving leftovers. You're like, it's still good ham, it's still good, but I've had 9 servings of ham in 3 days, and you know the mashed potatoes are wonderful, but like my daughter can't eat another potato at this point, so we got to toss it and move on. And so we did. I felt bad about it, but I'm on to December now, and as I showed you before the show, got my little moose mug with some eggnog in it, Clark Griswold style.
I love it.
And hallelujah, where's the Tylenol?
I love it. Yeah, so we probably won't talk a lot about the Thanksgiving night game because it's 1 week ago today. What's left to say? Everyone knows what happened. It was ugly. It wasn't.
You guys
pretty.
are beating up enough at this point.
Exactly, and you know, as fans of Dolphins, you're not even surprised by it at this point. But we'll look ahead to this week's game versus Jets. Talk about some injury news, everything going on. But before we get to any of that, a quick word from our sponsor.
The DolphinsTalk.com podcast network is sponsored by Caneswear. Caneswear is the place to go for officially licensed apparel for the Miami Dolphins, Miami Heat, the Hurricanes, Florida Panthers, and all of the professional and college teams in South Florida. Looking for the latest jersey, a birthday gift, or the newest hat to hit the market of your favorite South Florida team? Check out Caneswear for their overwhelming selection of sports apparel. Located at 2655 South University Drive, Davie, Florida, Caneswear has it all. Not in South Florida? No worries. Visit Caneswear.com to shop their inventory from the comfort of your home, and they'll ship it to you. International fans, too. Caneswear.com is the spot that Miami fans shop. That's Caneswear.com. Caneswear.com.
All right. 2 bits of housekeeping. Number one, tonight after this show, 8:30 Eastern time, if you're watching live on YouTube, we have an episode of the Same Old Dolphin Show with Josh and Aaron. And if you are longtime listeners, you know when the Dolphins play the Jets, those 2 times a year, Josh and Aaron, brothers from the exact same mother, sing a song to open their show. And I can't even sing the first lyric because it involves a certain word. Let's just say F the Jets. And it's a song all Dolphins fans love, but they will be singing it live tonight at the start of their show. Same Old Dolphin Show, DolphinsTalk.com podcast network, 8:30 Eastern time when they go live. And if you're listening after the fact in podcast form, make sure you listen to the latest Same Old Dolphin Show with Josh and Aaron. They get you ready for Jets week like no other podcast does on the internet. So check that out. Also, you got 1 day left. Tomorrow, Friday, about 5 or 6 at night, we're drawing the winner for the Mercury Morris autographed jersey. Go to patreon.com/DolphinsTalk. Just sign up. $3 a month or $5 a month, whichever level you want to sign up for. It doesn't matter what level you sign up for. If you sign up for Dolphins Talk Extra, you're automatically entered. And tomorrow night, 6, 7 o'clock, whenever I get around to it, I'm going to come on here live, and we're going to pick the winner, and someone's going to win this Mercury Morris autographed jersey with a 17-0 inscription here at the bottom. So patreon.com/Dolphins Talk. And I know, Robert, you and the family will be on our YouTube channel, 8:30, to hear that song with the young children, I'm sure.
Of course, kids sitting up waiting for it right now, and I'm sipping on eggnog, and afterwards I might even pop open your bottle.
There we go. I love it.
Visitors on viewing media of 1800 tequila, co-branded with the Miami Dolphins. This stuff, it's the coolest bottle that I've seen on a bottle of tequila.
And rooting
And I
for
know
this
you're
team, you
waiting for
need
a
to drink.
special occasion.
Rooting
Yeah.
for this team, you need to drink. I said at halftime Thanksgiving night, I said, okay, it's halftime. I'm walking to the kitchen. I'm going to make myself a turkey sandwich and a stiff drink and probably 2 drinks because I can't imagine what the second half of this game is going to be. And, well, I trust me, I needed those drinks because this team was down 24-3 at halftime and it was never a game.
Yeah, and I don't think anyone would be surprised that, like most things Miami Dolphins right now, the bottle of tequila was on sale. So they're giving it away at this point.
Giving it away.
They want people. Just take what we have, guys. Be a fan. Stick with us, please, because there's almost no chance they're going to go 5-0. Are they, Mike? They can't go 5-0.
No, this team's not going 5-0.
No way.
I think
Everybody still gives me hope, and I don't want hope anymore.
No, there's no hope.
I want to just look towards next year.
I'm going to skip ahead. I gave my prediction last night. I did pick Miami to win. I only picked them to win by 3, and I actually think there's a chance if Anthony Walker does not play, they might lose this game. Because what I saw last week is Anthony Walker is all of a sudden, insert the name of your favorite middle line, but Zach Thomas.
Derek
If
Brooks.
he's not out there, It's a house of cards. Nobody can tackle. So I don't think this game's going to be a blowout. I hope it is. I don't think it's going to be. And I think that the Jets are a live underdog this week because this Dolphins defense looked checked out last week, and it wasn't because of the cold. This game had nothing to do with the cold last week. They just were abysmal versus the Packers. Now, let's get to some injury news. Dolphins are going to get some guys back. Going to lose a couple guys. Kendall Fuller should play. He should return at corner, which is good. Cam Smith, who is now officially, in my eyes, a bust, went to IR. I'm sad he got hurt. I didn't want to see anyone get hurt, but he's on IR, and that's no real loss. Cater Kohu, we'll see. I don't know at this point with Cater Kohu. That injury did not look good. Our long snapper's back, Blake Ferguson, so that should put everyone's at ease.
That's it. Special teams gets a boost.
Well, special teams had 3 big errors in the first half, so they need all the help they can get. But it wasn't the long snapper's fault, so So I just want to make that clear. If
and it wasn't the
parents are
kicker's
watching,
fault.
The kicker's fault.
Literally
Special
everybody
teams
else.
player of the month, Jason Sanders, special teams player of the month.
AFC player of the month, Jason Sanders. So I can't knock on Jason Sanders.
No.
We got our long snapper back. It's literally the other 10 guys on the field.
We just can't field a punt, return a punt, and not get a penalty on a punt or a kickoff. That's our only issues. Outside of that, we're great.
And this week they better tackle on a punt. They better, because this boy will take it to the house.
Bradley Chubb started practicing this week. Now, Mike McDaniel, there's no way. Look, could he play Sunday? Yes, he could. Mike McDaniel said normally, which is his warning signs, like don't expect it. Normally, it takes a guy a week or 2 of practice before they return to the field. So could he play? Yes. I wouldn't expect it, though. So we'll see Sunday about 90 minutes prior to game time. Kendall Lamb is injured with an elbow. And I guess it's like a painful injury, but he's going to try and play through it. So give him all the credit in the world. We'll see how he can go. So that's good, I guess, for Lamb. He's going to try and play through this. At least that's the word as of today. We'll find out more as the week goes on. And some injuries for the Jets as they got some problems as well.
Yeah.
Ross Gardner, most likely out, not playing. Breece Hall, it sounds like he's going to play, but he's not even close to 100%. So he might be in a total times share. And 2 offensive linemen are probably out in Morgan Moses and Elijah Vera Tucker. And their offensive line, kind of like Miami's, it's the hot mess express. So the fact that they might be down 2 guys, not good for Aaron Rodgers. So that's all the injury news that we know as of now. Of course, we were recording Thursday night. By the time, if some of you listen Friday or Saturday, this stuff can change. As they say, it's fluid. Let's get right into the matchups. Now, Robert, we're talking quarterback first. You could set social media abuzz and go viral. Who's got the edge at quarterback?
I don't need the likes on Facebook that much.
Tagovailoa, or the man who has a Netflix documentary coming out real soon, Aaron Rodgers.
The perfect timing for that Netflix documentary to come out is right now, too, when the dumpster is on fire in New Jersey for this New York Jets team.
Did you hear my joke I said last night about Rodgers? I'm sure you missed it.
I didn't. I checked in for a little bit yesterday with Big E, and then I had to check out.
It went something like this. Aaron Rodgers' new nickname this year is Foreskin, because every time it gets hard, he disappears. But-um-bum.
All right, we're going to mute Mike for the rest of the show, ladies and gentlemen. He's cut off.
Good gentle humor. We got to laugh about this stuff or else we cry.
Family show, everybody. It's a family show. PG-13.
Yeah, that's true.
I think that Tua played fine last week in Green Bay. Obviously, some plays he wants to have back. But they didn't lose because of Tua. They didn't win because of Tua either. The Jets are losing because of Aaron Rodgers, and they are not winning also because of Aaron Rodgers. So I don't think that at this point Aaron Rodgers is the better quarterback than Tua Tagovailoa. And Tua's just he's playing well. It's tough to throw in Green Bay. Some of those passes, they were clearly off. I think at some point, like you mentioned it, some of the players just stopped. And Tua still threw for, like, if I told you that their quarterback was going to go for 300 yards, a couple of touchdowns, no interceptions, you think you're going to win the game, right? But not the case. So it's not his fault, guys. I'm not saying I'm loving on Tua. I'm not hating on Tua. I'm indifferent right now with a slight lean towards positivity for him. So he's handling what he can handle. When guys blow past your all-star left tackle and sack him, when he's doesn't have enough time for these routes to develop, not necessarily on him, but Aaron Rodgers, again, he's having an okay year, but it's not an Aaron Rodgers year, and that's his problem. He set the bar high with multiple MVPs and a Super Bowl and all this talk and going into dark rooms and doing drugs and all that. So his bar is set lower, I think. Like, if he has an okay game and they win, yay. But this is also a guy that even the head coach got fired over. The owner wants to bench. Everybody's saying for him to retire. How do you not pick Tua as the better quarterback of the two, right?
I mean, it's a no-brainer in all reality. Rodgers, and there's been some people in the New York City area who, not to make excuses because he's not saying it, so I don't want to sound like I'm piling on him, who say he's playing injured, actually. Because if you watch all of his throws, they're off his back foot because he can't put any pressure on the front foot. Now, he's not complaining about it, so I give him credit for not making that excuse and sort of using it as a crutch. So I give him credit for that. But there are people who, like, if you just watch him play, he's clearly hurt. So he's trying to play through it, and, which I give him credit for, because if you were to say, oh, I'm hurt, and then people would read it as, oh, you're making an excuse, you don't want to be out there when they're losing. No, he's going to go out there and take his lumps. So I do actually give him credit for that, but no, he's an insufferable SOB who's tough to stomach, but with how he acts and what he says. But no, he's not the same guy. And, he's got weapons. He's got a good running back. He's got two good
they
wide
can
receivers.
be dangerous.
He's got weapons.
Yeah. It's not like they have Zach Wilson out there and you can just really discount it. Any game, you could see the old Aaron Rodgers. You don't know, because it's still in there. He's got just about every Green Bay Packers wide receiver that they had on the roster at this point. And he's even getting some back that are coming back healthy. So don't discount it. But right now, Tua's playing better.
Running back, obviously Breece Hall, like we said, not 100%, but they got a little depth there themselves with Brandon Allen, who's got more size. It could be that like bruiser in between the tackles. And obviously for Miami, Achane just been absolutely sensational this year. I think he got a chance to go to the Pro Bowl, which I know doesn't mean much anymore, but I think he's got a chance. He's been that good. And, Wright, I think he saw the field the other night. If he did, it wasn't for much. And
I think he and Jeff Wilson had a play.
Yeah, it really comes down to Achane against Hall and Brandon Allen.
Yeah, and Breece Hall is a guy who can break open a game. He's averaging about 4 yards a carry. Problem is the offensive line just ain't much.
He's making more plays in a passing game this year. Only I know because I have him in my fantasy league. He's making more plays as a receiver than he is a runner.
And so is Devon Achane, though. So there's your equalizer. Is Achane still one of your best wide receivers and most targeted wide receivers? So I lean towards Miami because I think Achane is having the better season to this point. Breece Hall, again, averaging more yards, but he's not having the more dynamic season than Achane is, in my opinion. And if you can get Raheem Mostert moving. Now, the question here, everyone, is who has the better running backs, not who has the better running game. And that is the biggest difference, because Miami's run game has been completely non-existent for the past 4 weeks. And then they haven't surpassed 100 yards in 4 weeks since they went for 160 in the last game that they actually had that was decent. And I want to say it was that the last game that Austin Jackson played before he went out was their last good running game. So we kind of know the common denominator there. So the running game has not been very productive for Miami. Has been for New York. But the better running back and the better running backs, plural, is Devon Achane, Raheem Mostert, Jaylen Wright, and Breece Hall, and whoever the hell else they put behind him.
Yep. Wide receiver, And tight ends, Jonnu Smith has been absolutely great. The issue is Miami didn't pay him to be
It's
the
everybody
number one
else.
option. Yeah, it's everyone else. And Hill has just been abysmal this year. Outside of week one, what is he really giving you? Waddle's come on of late, but he's not having a Waddle type season.
Mhm.
And Jonnu Smith, again, great player. Everyone should be happy about how he has sort of, integrated himself in his offense, but we didn't bring him in to be a number one option. We brought him in to be number 3, and he's now our number one option, which is not good. And then on the other side, Adams, Garrett Wilson are the main twos, and Tyler Conklin at tight end's okay. So they got players. But I don't know. I mean, most years you just say Hill, Waddle, Miami. You can't say that anymore. Those days are over.
Yeah, you can't say that. You can't say that a whole lot. In this particular case, here's the thing: before the trade deadline, it was easy Miami. It was easily Miami. But when the trade deadline happened and the New York Jets get Devontae Adams, now you're talking about a different talent level and 2 number ones against 2 number ones, and who are not playing like number ones in Miami. So while Tyreek Hill did have 80-something yards last week in a garbage touchdown in a loss to Green Bay, Jaylen Waddle got you 53. And then if you look over at the Jets last week against Seattle, Devontae Adams 66, Garrett Wilson 41 yards. I mean, to me, it's pretty even. Like and here's the only reason I would go Miami. While the wide receivers are even in talent and production at this point, the only reason I would go toward Miami is you mentioned Jonnu Smith and Devon Achane. Those are your 2 weapons that really kind of get you over the top if you're talking about receivers on your team. So in that respect, if I'm adding those 2 in there, I lean towards Miami like by the the heel of my shoe. If not, it's pretty even. I push.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. Offensive line, like we said, right tackle's Lamb. If he can't go or has to leave at any point, Patrick Paul's just going to run out there. We know about the rest of the line for Miami. Jets, again, might be without 2 guys, and Morgan Moses at right tackle and Elijah Vera Tucker at right guard. So you got to keep an eye on that. These offensive lines are somewhat very similar in that they got like a nice player here or there, but overall as a unit, nothing to write home about.
Yeah, I mean, you can take a position and find an all-pro, take a position, find a former all-pro, take another position, find a rookie. Like, you can kind of see how they are very similar, and the production, unfortunately, is also very similar. And we mentioned the drop from Miami in the run game recently. That doesn't help them when we're trying to compare who has the better offensive line to who has a better offensive line. And so in this case, I think it's a push, not knowing the full health status of Teron Armstead on the left end or the full health status of Kendall Lamb on the right side. Also, here's another question that I think they have to be thinking about inside the building. Do we take Rob Jones, move him to right guard, and then now that Isaiah Wynn is back, put him back in at left guard, and who's the odd man out is Liam Eichenberg again? I think they have to be thinking about it. I don't know how much of a reality it is, but if it helps the run game, I think you look at it seriously, Mike.
They should be. Will they?
Yeah.
No. Because they, and
we're more worried about it than they are.
Well, there's that. And plus, Liam is the most interesting one of all the guys that Chris Grier's drafted. Now, I don't think they're going to re-sign him this offseason. I think they will let him walk. But no matter how bad it's gotten with him, he's never benched. He's never they just stick by him through thick and thin. They love him. I know that for a fact that they love him inside those walls. So I'd be surprised. I think the only way you see win this year is if somebody gets hurt. Now, he's also someone who can play right tackle. Now, he can't play it well, but they wanted to go with him there because when he was with the Patriots all those years, he played tackle, except for like 1 year, I think. So he can play tackle in a pinch as well. So that is an option, although I think they'd want to get Patrick Paul out there. I think this is our line, for better or worse. I mean, only 5 games left. What's the point of changing anything now? Mm-hmm. And it is what it is. And again, I think it's less about the talent. I know the 2 guards aren't very good. It's more about the scheme they try to run in these temperatures at times. It's not conducive. And you got to be, as they say, agile. You got to be able to pivot on the fly. And they can't. They are a one-trick pony in the run game. This is how we run the ball.
Yep.
It don't matter if we're in a
Run
dome,
outside,
if
catch
it's
us
Hard
if you
Rock
can.
Stadium, if we're in
Yep.
10 feet of snow or 2 feet of snow. This is what we do. And wait, it's not going to work in this weather. Well, what do you want us to do? That's what we do. So that's what we do. So yeah, I think that's our offensive line. Front seven. Now, Miami, once again, I think it's a house of cards. We're waiting on Anthony Walker news because without him, it's rough. You got Jordan Brooks mouthing off after the game saying, yeah, we're soft, which, I know fans love it. Yeah, he's telling the truth. Yeah. Imagine if you got to change with him if you're in that locker room. I spoke to Richmond Webb last week. He's like, that ain't going to go over well in there because you got guys putting their body. Yeah, even if it's true, don't mean you got to say it to the world. You keep your crap in house. You don't have to air your dirty laundry. So I'm sure he's not the most popular guy this week in that locker room. You got him up front, pretty much the same players. And for the Jets, Hassan Reddick's back, Quinnen Williams, Quincy Williams, Javon Kinlaw's okay, Will McDonald's okay. I mean, they got players. CJ Mosley's out, I think. But CJ Mosley's out,
but the backup middle linebacker has been making a name for himself. I think he's actually leading the team in tackles. They got a guy we're familiar with, Sam Eguilban. He's out there as a backup role for the Jets as well. So without knowing the full strength of Miami's defense, I lean towards the Jets. They have a really good defensive secondary. Now their defensive front against the run is not the best in the league. And Mike,
it's terrible.
I have the rankings here that we usually pull up.
So I think they're 22nd,
so rushing
right?
defense, they're 20th in the league.
20th, okay.
20th in the league in rushing defense are the Jets. So I want to say I lean towards the Jets in talent, but production-wise, Miami's got a top 10 defense still somehow still top 10 defense. I don't know who's skewing if the college football committee is also working on the rankings for NFL teams and their position ranks, but I think Miami's front seven actually wins this because they're playing better. From a talent standpoint, I don't think there's any reason that the New York Jets have a very middle to low ranked rushing defense. They have very, 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 very good passing defense, but not so much. So Miami gets the edge. I don't know how they're doing it, but they're playing better collectively.
The Miami Dolphins struggled to tackle last Thursday. The Jets have struggled to tackle all year. Yes. That's how you explain this in a nutshell to sort of summarize this. So, we'll see how the Dolphins are this week. Now, let's hope last week wasn't the start of a trend, but you got to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt, I guess. Plus, they do have a few extra days off coming into this game. Secondary, like we said, no Sauce Gardner, probably. For Miami, Kendall Fuller's back. You got Ramsey, Cater Kohu, we'll find out. That's a big one, actually. Storm Duck, so. And Jordan Poyer, of course, is there. As someone in our chat is reminding me, where's Jordan Poyer? And, of course, Marcus May, we caught him 3 days later. He's getting interceptions with the Chargers. But that's okay.
Goose wants Jordan Poyer to sit this week, and you're not the only one, buddy. I think this is a one-year rental, and then we'll see him back in Buffalo next year.
No, he's going to retire because we were the only team that was willing to sign him.
He's 52 years old. Like, he's got to. Like, he's going to go fight Jake Paul next. At this point, he's getting up there at NFL age. I think that Miami has the edge in the secondary because Sauce Gardner is likely out for this game. If not, the better pass defense is New York, guys. I'm sorry to say. They have 3 top coverage corners out there for New York, and you mentioned them in Sauce Gardner, in Michael Carter, and in DJ Reed. Those are the 3 guys that can lock down an entire team, especially a team as wide receiver and receiving heavy as Miami. But without that number 1, Miami's got the edge despite, a couple injuries here and there and getting some guys back. I think that's the biggest key for them is getting some guys back.
Yep, I agree. Special teams, Jets, moving on. Let's go to coaching.
Here's the thing. Jets by not that much.
Okay, either way, it's
Jets by not that much. Okay. Slight edge.
Coaching. Now, look, I am
we
really
can
down
skip
on
this
Mike
one too at this point.
I am really down on Mike McDaniel these days. I mean, really, when he took a delay game on 4th and 4, that told me everything I need to know about Mike McDaniel. That this guy don't know what the hell's going on, and he's standing shoulder to shoulder with the referee. Like literally, I just turned his head and go timeout. That's all he had to do, and he couldn't do it because he don't know what's going on in front of him. He's so hyper focused on this offense. This guy's got no clue how to run a team. With that said, the Jets have an interim coach who, not his fault because he didn't ask for this, was thrown to the wolves and is not remotely prepared for this. So I'd say Mike McDaniel versus 30 other head coaches would not get the advantage versus this one guy. I'd give him a slight edge, and that's saying something.
Yeah, McDaniel gets the edge over Jeff Holbrook, who's the interim head coach.
No battle of champions here.
Just in case you don't know.
Weeb Eubank versus Don Shula. Let me just say that.
Right. Yeah, it's not. I mean, look, he's a placeholder until what's his face from ESPN gets back and coaches the Jets. Rex Ryan can go back and coach the Jets again next year. He's a placeholder, and he's doing the best he can. He's just not an NFL head coach. He's a positions coach. So my lean is Mike McDaniel, but again, like you said, I don't love the decisions he's making. But the problem is, I think we're both going to predict that the Dolphins win this week, and his stay gets extended, and everything is going to be. He's not going anywhere anyway.
He's not going anywhere.
You know, we're just going to have to look at him with a positive light again. And at least this week, we don't have to look at him all Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer on the sideline. And I couldn't tell if it was his hand shaking or the wind blowing his play card around. Probably both. But Mike is still traumatized by it. That Mike McDaniel had the Michael J. Fox go.
Yeah, I said after last year's playoff loss, which was actually January, I said take away the first-time head coaches. So the guy in Seattle, Mike McDonald, take away the guy
who did better than Mike McDaniel this year.
Of course he did. I said after how that last season ended, and it was 9-3, and I know they had injuries. You're still 9-3, and how that's another collapse after he collapsed after 8-3, and after watching a playoff game where they had no game plan, they weren't prepared in the least bit for that game either. I said take away the first-time head coaches. He's a bottom 5 head coach in the NFL. Oh, people went nuts. You would have thought I said the most craziest thing ever. You don't know what you're talking about, blah, blah, blah. After this year, I guarantee if I say that same thing after the season ends, no one's going to disagree with me. No, he's a bottom 5 head coach. If you take away the first-time head coach, so Chicago's going to fire their coach, hire someone. Don't count him. Saints are going to hire someone. Don't Jets. Take away the first-time head coaches like I did. I go, just deal with the other, however many was left, 24, 25 left. There's about 5 or 6 new coaches every year. He's in the bottom 5 of that group. And now there's no Robert Saleh. So I had him as the worst. You take him out of this, and he might be bottom 3 because he is just, look, he can overwhelm bad teams with talent. And nobody beats up on bad teams like Mike McDaniel, Tua. You bring out the Rams, you bring out the Raiders or the Patriots. Last year, the Broncos or the Giants, they will run it up. And as a fan, you're watching those games or you're at that game, you think you got the best team in the league and you are having the greatest Sunday in your life. Then you play a team that's even remotely competent, and you look like you've never played the sport before. And that's how it is with this guy. And it's year 3, and there's no more excuses. He's still learning on the job. It's his first time head coach. It's year 3. It's getting worse as this goes on from year 1 to 2 to 3. It's supposed to get better, and it ain't.
And this is why I don't think that extension was the best idea, because I think in my mind and heart, I still wanted Ross to go after Jim Harbaugh. That was the guy he wanted before. He didn't get him. He stayed in college. And that was the guy who the timing was almost right to get him again, and you missed out, and then you gave McDaniel an extension. And like Goose on YouTube is saying, Mike Vrabel going to be a hot commodity. Mike Vrabel might be the Jets head coach next year.
Yeah, but he ain't working for Ross. Nobody. Here's the problem with Miami. Nobody who's any good wants to work for us. Why do you think we got Mike McDaniel? How many other teams wanted to even interview Mike McDaniel? 0. Why does Miami? Because no one else wants to work for Ross. And here's the deal. Stephen Ross, yes, he's got a lot of money. He gives him a blank checkbook. So in that aspect, he's good. But, since he's owned his team, it's been an unmitigated disaster on the field. How close, though, could he have been to being one of the greatest owners if he just stuck with his gut and said, you know what, Tony Sparano, he's under contract. I don't care. I'm still talking to Harbaugh. Or if he was like, you're taking away picks because I'm tampering with Sean Payton, who's looking pretty good this year, who said, I don't care. Take away the pick. I'm going to sign him anyways. Or I'm going to trade for him anyways. I'll just lose more picks. Or if he would have said, why are we drafting this guy? Let's trade back and take Lamar Jackson. I want him. Boy, we'd be probably really good if this guy didn't have people talk him out of this crap. And who's been around that whole time talking him out of stuff? Oh, yeah, I know. It's just, it's not working. But we ain't getting rid of him. That's the point.
So David on Facebook, Jordan on YouTube, it's not Chris Grier. It's Ross, and Ross should listen to Michael Leba. Okay? Hire as a special counselor, and
I couldn't be worse, Robert. I couldn't be worse.
Here's the thing. Again, some of your ideas, they make a lot of sense.
Couldn't be worse. I'm telling you, it couldn't be worse at the end of the day. It's like, we hear certain people after, not to talk politics, I think the term was F your feelings. I'd walk in that office day one, say, F your feelings. I don't care about any of you. Here's what we're doing. This is the game plan. And, I actually think, and I know some people are going to take this the wrong way, and please don't take it the wrong way. The reason they extended McDaniel is once you extend the quarterback really thrived under him and only him. And I don't know if he can thrive under anyone else. So those two are pretty much tied to hip. So if you're stuck with a quarterback, you better be stuck with this head coach, because I don't know if any other head coach can get the most out of him like this one has. That's really what I think it was.
They're married until the end. And I think that if you start to see Tua go down in production or in games played, or if you start to see a really hot seat under Mike McDaniel, one goes, the other goes. So it's going to be a divorce where they both go at the same time, because you're not going to bring someone else in here after 7-8 years. And they're going to say, I love Tua. I can't wait to build around Tua. Or they're not going to let the quarterback go, and Mike McDaniel somehow sticks around to groom a second one. It's not going to happen. So those two are married. That's how it's going to be. We deal with it as Dolphins fans. And that is why I successfully canceled my wait list on the season ticket holder line for the Miami Dolphins and got my refund back. Breaking news.
Yeah,
not worth it. Not worth it right now.
I get it. It's not worth it. I mean, you're going to spend all that money to go there and just be miserable? We've seen how the story ends year after year. It ain't getting better. It's only getting worse. And you look at, real quick before we get to the prediction, once you start to forecast in the next year, you're going to need at least one, possibly two new safeties, because I don't think they're going to re-sign Holland. You're going to need at least one, because you're not going to pay Kendall Fuller 8.5 on the cap, so he's gone. And you can't trust Cam Smith, so you're going to need at least one, maybe two new corners. You probably need all three new linebackers, because Jordan Brooks might have talked his way out of here with some of the comments he made. Even if he didn't, you still need someone at middle linebacker, because Walker's a free agent. And I don't know if you want to trust him as a full-time starter. And then, Channing Tindall and stuff like that, whatever. Up front, Calais Campbell ain't getting any younger. So even if you re-sign him, how many snaps are you going to give you next year at the age of 39? You got to get someone to step in. And Benito Jones really ain't so good, so you got to get someone to start there. That's just defense. Go to offense. You got to pay a number 2 quarterback, which you need up real money this time. You got to get at least a third wide receiver, 2 new guards, and if even Armstead and Lamb are gone, you got Austin Jackson, Patrick Paul. Who's your swing tackle off the bench? You don't have one. You better go get one there. They have so many holes to fill. And right now they got the 4th worst cap situation heading into the offseason. Now I know fans are yelling at their radio right now, but you can make cap space. Yeah, you can. But when you're starting off at the 4th worst, that ain't good. That means you got to do a lot of heavy lifting just to get to the cap and then open up in their 20, 30, 40 million. And every time you open up cap space, you're probably creating another hole on top of the ones I didn't just list that you're going to have to fill. And they got a lot of draft picks, but out of this year's drafts, how many guys produced outside of Chop Robinson? I'll wait.
A half of one in Jaylen Wright. That's it.
There you go. So it's like you can't count on the draft to get guys who are going to be in come year one contributors, especially with this guy's track record. So, 2025 might not be. So I understand why you canceled your thing, because you can always hop back on a list at any time.
Yeah.
I wouldn't give them any money, because at some point as fans, we have to do our part to send a message. We're not accepting this crap anymore. And if you want our money, earn it.
And that's why it's going to be at this point with 5 wins. I'm going to predict the Dolphins to get to 6 wins. I think they're going to beat the Jets. I think it's going to be here's my prediction, is going to be 23-17, something like that.
I'm at 24-21, so we're close.
The problem is they're going to be at 6 wins. You're not bad enough to have a good draft pick, and you're probably not going to win out and make it deep into the playoffs and have a bad draft pick. So where are we? Right back where we have been for the past 20 years, picking up 13 to 18, somewhere in that middle range, again and again and again. And someone in our chat earlier, they said it's like Groundhog Day, and it is. And it feels like so it's almost to the point where I want to see them win, but I don't want to see them win. Like get the point across. Don't keep pedaling on to a 9-win season or a 10-win season or an 8-win season. Just be bad or be good. Pick one. Like, I'm okay with either one of them.
And here's the thing. One, it's actually 27-24. My prediction was 24-21 last week. So 27-24 Miami this week too. Like, you win just too many games to get out of the guy you want. And like last year, look, we love Chop Robinson. I think he's going to be a great player. But Jared Verse went 1 pick before us. Rather have Jared Verse. No offense to Chop, just rather have Verse. Verse is like a machine this year for the Rams. It's like just one too many just to miss out on the guy who's really going to be the impact player. Not that Chop's bad, but Jared First might be a little better.
Who's the offensive lineman picked a couple before us? Jackson Powers.
Well, he's the guy who just lost the game for the Raiders this week.
But still, he's been playing great the majority of the year, and you're just 1 or 2 picks behind the really good guy, and so that I feel like with another win here this week, maybe next week with Houston, I don't know. It's just the circle keeps going around and around, but what keeps going down are my bold versus bold predictions.
Yeah. And before we get to that, we'll get to that in a second. A quick shout out to everyone listening at finheaven.com. Everyone go to finheaven.com, largest Miami Dolphins message board on the internet. Also, a shout out to our friends at the I Am a Miami Dolphins fan Facebook page, run by the great and talented Carlos Hernandez. If you're on Facebook, check that out. And wherever you're listening to this podcast, Apple Podcast, Spotify, YouTube. If you're on YouTube right now, smash that like button. iHeartRadio, Audible, Podbean. Hit that subscribe button so you don't miss an episode. And also, we have to talk about the seltzer sweeping the nation by storm. Mellow Seltzer. Yes, Mellow THC Seltzer comes in wild berry, grapefruit, strawberry, mango, and half lemonade and iced tea. A mix of madness, genius, and a pinch of chaos to bring you the best sips in the universe. With 5 milligrams of THC in this drink, Mellow is revolutionizing the way you unwind. Each sip is designed to gently lift your spirits and ground your senses. Go to mellowseltzer.com for information on how and where to purchase.
What flavor is that?
This one is grapefruit.
Grapefruit. That's right.
Grapefruit.
We're talking about squirt. Grapefruit.
Yeah. Okay. Bold and bull. You want 3 and look, you've been 3-3 most weeks here recently, which is not bad. It's just you're not catching up to get to 500.
It's just like the Dolphins season. $5 less on the tequila, 500 season, 500 on my picks. It all, you see a common theme here, people.
I think this week I've set you up for success. Not that I made them easier. I just think these are more easy to have success against. Okay. Number 1, Tua will throw for over 300 yards. Again, no Sauce Gardner probably, so that got to factor that in.
I still say bull. I think it's a really good secondary. Even without Sauce Gardner, your wide receivers aren't lighting it up anyway. So I think it's bull. He got 300 yards last week because they couldn't run the ball. If they have any sort of run competency at all this week, there's no reason Tua Tagovailoa should be at 300 yards.
That's a great statement here from Jermaine. He's 100% right too. He's 100% right.
So for listeners out there, Jermaine's saying the Jets, if they lose Sunday, then you know the team has quit on the coach. I agree.
Yeah. If they lose Sunday to the Jets, Miami, Mike McDaniel's lost his locker room. So, yeah, I 100% agree. Number 2, Dolphins defense sack Rodgers 2 or more times.
Bold. Rodgers is a statue and he's going down. And you mentioned he's a little gimpy on the leg too. So he's not a scrambler like he used to be. He moves around in the pocket. He doesn't move outside of the pocket anymore. And so if he's able to get the ball out fast enough, I think he's able to stay alive. But I think the defense against a beat-up offensive line, I think that defensive line has a chance to get to him at least twice.
Breece Hall has over 100 all-purpose yards.
Ooh, all-purpose yards. I'm going to go bull.
It's probably the toughest one.
I'm going to go bull because I feel like someone else is going to beat me. It's going to be a Devontae Adams game. It's going to be a Garrett Wilson game. And they're going to make sure they cover up on Breece Hall. It's going to be someone else who beats Miami. And he'll have a big impact. No doubt about it. But like you said earlier, he is not at 100%. And so I don't think he gets to 100 yards.
Jonnu Smith has a touchdown reception.
Damn, I want this one. But I want to pull up because I happen to have Jonnu Smith open here. His statistics. He has past 5 games receiving 0, 1, 2, 0, 0. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say he doesn't have a touchdown. No touchdown for Jonnu Smith. Bull.
Now, here's the trickiest one, maybe of them all, actually. So and because the past few games, he's thrown for under 200 yards. Aaron Rodgers will throw for over 225 yards. Now, I think past few games, I know he had one for 185. I think he had one for like 150, but he did have some over 200. So it's not like of late he hasn't really lit it up. But
lit it up. Yeah. Past couple of games here. 185, 184, 151, 211, 233. History tells me he is not getting to 225 this week. So that is bull. I don't believe Aaron Rodgers makes it to 225 yards passing. I think one of the wide receivers becomes dangerous, has a decent game, 90 yards, touchdown, something like that. But I don't think he gets 225 yet. He hasn't shown that he can do it. And look, that's been on 39 attempts, 29 attempts, 35 attempts, 32. So he's throwing the ball plenty to get there.
Or he's due for a big game. I'm just kidding.
You're always throwing that one out at me.
Here's the last one. Tyreek Hill has a touchdown. It's been a while.
Yeah, it's been. He got one last week, but that was luck.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, he got one last week, but he was in the right place at the right time.
I think few this season. Here's
the thing. It's few this season. I think bold. Since I say Jonnu Smith is not going to score a touchdown, someone's got to get him. Since I picked Miami to win, it's probably going to be Achane, and it's probably going to be Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. All right. So that's it. Now the picks. Look, we still stick at these picks. We were 1-3 last week. You had the 1 with our picks.
I always have the 1. I feel like I get the 1. I get the underdog.
So it's so funny. Every weekend on Saturday, I post my picks for college. I think I'm like 25 games over 500. I'm crazy. I'm great picking college games. NFL games, I'm like right around 500. On this one, I'm under 500. Folks, don't bet the NFL. I'm telling you right now, it's impossible to bet the NFL and win. College football, even this week, I love the lines this week. SMU was like 2.5. Iowa State's like 2 or 3. It's like there's so many great lines in games that are going to be lopsided. It's like you can make so much money in college. Why I didn't want to bet the pros is beyond me, but we're going to do this pick segment to the end of the year. Okay, now we got locks and upsets. I'm looking for the first time. I really haven't looked yet because what's the point? I can't.
We never do, guys. Just so you know, we usually go into this.
So I don't bet these games. Okay, I have a lock. Can you let me go first since I stink?
Please do.
Okay, give me Tampa Bay minus 6.5 at home. Look, the Raiders stink on toast. And Tampa Bay's actually pretty good. Mayfield, I actually like the guy. I think he's got some moxie to him. So Tampa Bay is my lock, 6.5 at home over the Raiders. Raiders, West Coast team, flying needs to play at 1. Come on, it's all I need to know.
All right, well, my lock's going to be New Orleans on the road against the New York Giants. The Giants are just as much a dumpster fire as the Jets are, and the Saints are getting 4 points, or the Saints are giving up 4 points, but I don't think it matters. I think I think they lost Taysom Hill, but the Jets don't have anybody. Malik Neighbors is the only guy on their team that's worth anything, and they got the guy with my last name, Burns, on defense, I think, still there for some reason. But I think the Saints -4 on the road. I like that number for some reason. They still have Carr. They have Kamara. They can make it happen.
Yes, absolutely. And the Giants are like openly tanking. They really don't want to win.
Yeah, they're really trying to get Shador Sanders.
They signed Tim Boyle. All you need to know. And they passed over Locke to start Tommy DeVito. They skipped over the second quarterback, started the third, and then went out and signed Tim Boyle. That's all you need to know. Here's one I'm taking right now. My upset. Give me the Rams plus 3.5. I think the Bills clinch the division, and they're going to celebrate and be like, hey, look, we won the AFC East, and now they got to travel out west. I think the Rams will beat them. Give me LA Rams plus 3.5 at home. Rams need the game. Bills don't. They need a game for home field and stuff, but they're not thinking about that on December, whatever, 7th or 8th, whatever it's going to be. They're not thinking about home field right now, so give me the Rams.
So I feel dirty doing this, but it just happened a couple of weeks ago. And so I don't feel that wrong on it. Give me the Browns plus 6.5 at Pittsburgh. Jameis Winston, he can throw 7 touchdowns and throw 6 interceptions. The Steelers just lost to Cleveland 2 games ago, rather. I don't know if it was 2 weeks. Could happen again. Night, but if you're giving me 6 points and Jameis Winston, I'll take it.
Now, 2 things. One, you always laugh at me every time I pick the Browns.
I do. I feel so horrible about making
here's the other thing. Here's the thing with Winston. Winston keeps both teams in the game, his own and the other.
He does.
If you're down against Winston, good chance he's going to throw it to you, and you're going to be right back in it. If you're the Browns, if you're down, don't worry, because you can throw for 400, 500 yards, and he'll bring it in it. He's the type of quarterback who keeps both teams in the game.
He will. He will throw for 500 yards and also throw for 4 interceptions. And here's the thing. I don't know which version Miami's going to see when they play him at December 29th.
Yeah, that's going to be a nutty game. And right, they haven't flexed that game out yet for Sunday Night Football, and they will. Trust me, they will.
Have to. Oh my God, they have to.
Trust me, they will.
They have to.
But the fact they haven't, I'm sure they're waiting till the last minute because they want to see what teams are still going to be good in the hunt as we get closer. They have a date they have to do it by. They don't have to do it yet. They will, but that game. But here's the deal:
it has no business being Sunday Night Football.
No, the day they scheduled that, I go, that game's never going to see prime time because all NBC cares about is market size. And you got two smaller markets compared to like the New Yorks and Dallases and Phillies and LA's of the world. You got two smaller markets, and the odds of both Miami and Cleveland both being good late in the year is like slim and none. You know, one of them was going to flame out. This year, both of them flamed out. So there was never a chance that game staying at that time. So, but yeah, all right, that's what we got for the matchup show. Dolphins, Jets. I'm actually flying down for this game this weekend. I'll be in the stands. I'm actually going as a fan, not as media. So, look, it was a pre-planned trip with friends. Like it's more about the friends than it is about the actual game. Otherwise, because we're going to get hit with 10 inches of snow here in the next 24 hours.
Get you out of the snow here, buddy.
It gets 10 inches. It's starting now. It's not going to stop till Friday afternoon. I'm getting 10 inches of snow literally in 24 hours, and I'll be down in Miami, thankfully. So maybe I'll run into people. Who knows? Everyone, thank you for listening.
Here you go. Before we go, Mike, you should wear your Syracuse gear while you're
I would. I'm
sure you have a warm reception.
I've worn it every day on the podcast this week to troll fans. I was on 560 on their YouTube channel. I wore it yesterday. And, I'm sorry. Look, sorry, not sorry. Give me one freaking day as a Syracuse football fan in the past 20 years. Give me one day where we're the center of the college football world and got a little bit of positive attention for once. And we earned it. And if the Miami Hurricanes can't hold on to a 21-0 lead, it's not my fault. So sorry, not sorry. A 21-zip lead. Hold on to it. And I just put up a clip on Facebook of our head coach in the locker room after the game, giving the Hurricanes all the praise in the world. We, not spiking the flag, starting a brawl. He goes, look, that's the best team we played all year. Give them their credit. They're a good team. He couldn't have been classier about it to the Canes fans. But yeah, sorry, not sorry.
Yeah, wear your Syracuse stuff, and I'm sure you'll hear some highway profanity down.
Oh, I'm sure I will. I'll be hitting
I'm sure you will, buddy.
I'm sure I will. You know what? I got lots of Dolphins gear too. I'm good. Everyone, thank you for listening. We'll talk to you after a while. And as Robert teased, please don't forget. Oh, coming up in an hour. If you want to talk profanity, Josh and Aaron will be singing their song about the Jets. So if you're watching live on YouTube, stay tuned. 8:30, Josh and Aaron. But yes, thank you all for listening. And don't forget, we must put an end to highway profanity.